Welcome to Let's Talk Money Honey, the podcast where we break down the world of investing and wealth building for women who are ready to control their financial futures. We're your hosts, Elise Levy of Legacy Wealth Planning
and Holly Henry of Diamond Legacy Wealth Management. We're two financial advisors on a mission to empower and educate women so they can build confidence, work towards growing their wealth, and pursue their biggest investment goals. Investing isn't just for Wall Street, it's for you. Whether you're just getting started or looking to level up your portfolio, we're here to make investing approachable, fun, and totally doable. So grab your coffee
or your wine and let's talk money honey.
All right, welcome to another episode of Let's Talk Money Honey. Today we're talking about a group of people I just love to talk about, probably because I'm one of them. So who are we talking about today, Holly?
We are talking about DINKs, which means dual income, no kids.
Ooh.
And I guess I am not one of those, but I just feel like this is a larger group of people. We're seeing this. I don't want to say that it's more of a trend, but it's more accepting now. People are making the decision to either have children either later on in life or even just not at all.
Totally. And I think with that decision comes a lot more financial flexibility and allows for a lot more financial planning a lot earlier in life. Which is so cool and something to take advantage of. So that's why we want to talk about DINKs today and kind of give them specific tips and just things that have come to our mind that we want to share with our audience. So Holly, what do you want to talk about first?
Okay, so just as a person that's got kids, I just see the money just going out the door all the time on sports. So I feel like if you're a dink, it's like you've got to save and make finances a priority. Like now's the time to do this. And so it's so important to get with a financial advisor, start setting goals. I know a lot of the dinks that I talk to, travel is important. So this is something that they want to go ahead and do now. And so it's like we need a budget for that. I really think that this is the time to be really just focusing on retirement planning because you've got this extra money. What I don't want to see is, okay, you're a dink and all the money's going out the door, but it's not going to anything specific. Like it's more of an upgrade in lifestyle.
Yeah, it's kind of like mindless spending.
Yeah, so I think you still have to be very intentional about it because I feel like you can really set yourself up down the road if this is done correctly, if that makes sense.
No, it totally does. And I think what you were saying, just aligning your financial goals with your values. And I think we see a lot, I'm going to say a broad number, 25 to 40-year-olds. You do get caught up in the mindless spending. And I think even as you start to make more money, you're still living paycheck to paycheck. And it's you can't evolve to the next phase. And it's an important phase to evolve to because that's what really starts setting you apart and giving you that financial freedom that we talk about so much. So being able to save for retirement, set aside money for other goals, other dreams that you want to pursue, it's so important now and building that base. So first thing I want to talk about is taxes because it's so fun. But a lot of our dinks are going to be dual income. So they get the benefit of filing jointly. So that helps. So what's another tool that they can use to lower their taxable income?
You got to max out your retirement if you can, or put as much money back. And it's not fun. It's not fun, but we get it. It's not fun, but it really is necessary. Unfortunately, you don't have the child credits on your taxes. And so you're going to be paying probably more taxes in a lot of ways. And so we're going to be looking at your taxes, trying to just ensure that you are taking advantage of everything. And I will say that I always tell my clients, I'd rather see you put money back for retirement than to just write a big check to Uncle Sam because you're not going to get that back.
Exactly. It's you are paying money either way. You might as well pay it to yourself, future self in retirement, than pay it to taxes. So Holly, you're spot on. Max out those 401ks, max out your Roth contributions. If you go over the income limit, we can do backdoor Roths, but really taking advantage of those two things first off is going to be so powerful. And then the other thing we want to talk about is a lot of people in this age group are either homeowners or thinking about being homeowners. And that's a great step to take too for taxes because we can deduct the interest. And as we know, on a 30-year mortgage, I look at my mortgage statement all the time and it's like 90% of my monthly payment is interest right now in the early years. So, which is great for taxes. Not so great when I look at what is still due in my principal, but that's okay.
We're also going to encourage you to look into either, they're called FSAs or HSAs. And basically, it's money set aside for medical expenses. So they're either flexible savings account or health savings accounts. I prefer a health savings account in most situations, but you have to have a high deductible. And
your plan has to offer it.
Your plan has to offer it. And so I'm going to be honest, my plan right now is not a high deductible. So I would gladly get a health savings account. And I'm jealous for all of you that can, because the difference is with a flexible spending account, you have a year. So you can't just constantly build up the money. On a health savings account, you can build that up and you don't have to spend it, and it can keep growing. And really, this is a wonderful tool, especially if kids are in your mind for down the future, or even just think that this is money you're going to set aside for even the retirement years when you may have a lot of medical expenses. This goes in pre-taxed. It grows tax-free as long as you're not pulling the money out. And then when you do pull the money out later down the road, as long as you're spending it on medical reasons, then it's being pulled out of the account tax-free too. So it's really, really good.
Pretty awesome. And so we kind of touched on Roth IRAs, but another really important account for people in this sector is non-retirement accounts. So while we're building our retirement assets, we also want to be building our non-retirement assets because, as we know, retirement accounts have a lot of, red tape rules. So most retirement accounts, you can't pull money out until you're 59 and a half without a penalty. So if you are really considering like not having kids and maybe wanting to retire at 50, you are going to need somewhere to pull money from to supplement in those years until you can touch your retirement accounts. And a non-retirement account is a great place to do that. The money goes in after tax. And then when you pull money out, you will just pay capital gains tax depending on your income level. So that's another great pot to put money in. And it's good for anything, saving for a remodel down the road, anything that has like a 5 to 10 year plus time horizon. It's a good place to put money in to grow it. Holly, any other investment options we want?
Yeah, and I just want to also mention that normally people don't know when they need to start putting money into a non-retirement account. So if you're both working, I would say the rule of thumb would be you need an emergency fund that consists of like 3 months that you can pay on your bills and everything that's needed within that 3 months. Anything outside of that, it's time to start considering investing it. We talk to a lot of people that they have a lot of money just sitting in savings, and quite honestly, savings is just not keeping up with inflation. And so we can still invest it conservatively. When people think that when we talk about investing, they automatically, their mind goes to the stock market. And that's not always necessarily the case. There are more conservative ways, if that's your goal, for us to invest the money. Also, I feel like with DINKs, real estate is a great option. And sometimes this is not talked about quite a bit by financial advisors, but because you may be in a high tax bracket and you need to be kind of creative with your taxes, owning rental properties is a good way of doing this.
Yeah, 100%. And again, like diversification is good. So we don't want all your money caught up in your retirement accounts. We don't want all of it in your non-retirement. We don't want it all in real estate. It's a mix of everything to kind of create this like holistic financial picture for you. So I think you kind of mentioned it, Holly, but for DINKs, kind of going beyond the emergency fund. And I think like the emergency fund, like you were saying, it's anywhere from 3 to 6 months of your living expenses. So that includes like your mortgage, your utilities, your groceries, really like having that really stable fund and bonus points if you have it in something earning interest because you're keeping up with inflation. So we love to see that. But then creating what we call like a freedom fund. So it can be for travel, it can be for career pivots, taking a sabbatical. We have a lot of young couples that, maybe the maternity leave they offer at work is pretty minimal. So having money set aside, so when that exciting news happens, you're not also worrying financially. And like really thinking about your future self, I think too, it's like having the money to walk away from a job that's no longer serving you. All these like real life things, but money plays a really powerful tool in like giving us the freedom to have options. Um, and like get to make choices for your well-being, not just because you're forced to do it. Does that make sense, Holly?
Absolutely, absolutely. And I think that there's a lot of freedom in just being a dink. As someone that is a single mom, my decisions are based on my kids. There's not the freedom that I used to have. And I was in my late 20s, early 30s when I had kids. So there was several years of freedom there. And things it just obviously has to change. And while you can, I would just recommend with this financial freedom, you invest in yourself. You continue any education goals while the money is there. For some of you, like now is the time to take professional risk, whether it's investing in your own business or pivoting in careers. You can do that now as long as you're kind of budgeting and saving for it.
100%. It's really like planning for your future self, which is a cool concept. And I think we kind of forget because we're so busy taking care of ourselves right now.
Mhm.
Which I have to validate is enough, it's a full
Yes.
plate. But I think getting in that practice of being like, where do I want to be in 5 years?
Mhm.
Okay, how do we take those steps to make that happen? Because chances are there's something you can be doing today that makes that goal a lot easier. So because, there's no kids, there's maybe just the two of you, you want to look out for each other.
Oh,
So one of
absolutely.
the ways, and we talk about this, I think in almost every client meeting, but check your beneficiaries on all of your accounts. So that's bank accounts, that's retirement accounts, that's non-retirement accounts, because chances are at least one of them is out of date. And
Mhm.
you really want to make sure that that is all right because if you do pass in an untimely way, you want to make sure your spouse gets everything and it's not a hassle. And they don't have to go through the dreaded probate.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it's not even just the dreaded probate. It is also what if it's the wrong person?
Yeah,
Because especially with dinks, I'm going to assume like if you're on the younger side, and so if you're newly married, it may be a parent that's listed or a siblings that's listed. And
hmm
you would hope that maybe they do the right thing and give the money to your spouse, but they may think, well, this is how you designated it and this is what you want. And so I will just always say, check your beneficiaries as often as you can. And I know how easy it is to even forget because I didn't put beneficiaries on one of my bank accounts and the bank ended up having to call me because they noticed it. And so this is something that I preach and it's
you're
just so,
capable of it.
yeah, it's so easy to overlook. And I will say that when we do our annual reviews with our clients, that's one of our questions is this the beneficiary that you still want on this account? And a lot of times, yeah, there's not any changes, but there are times to where that beneficiary has passed away and they haven't thought to update it. And we just sometimes have to have these hard questions and remind our clients to keep it up to date.
Totally. And along those lines, I think like getting a trust or a will created that really like encompasses all of your assets together and really gives a good direction if either of you pass away. That's a great step moving forward as well. And then also life insurance and whether it's term or whole life, whatever is appropriate for you. But I always think of this like dual income. You probably can afford the mortgage payment with both of your salaries. So if one of you passes away, making sure that that person can either pay off half the mortgage or the whole mortgage, but like setting them up for financial success so they don't have to be dependent on any other entity. Of course you want to do that for them. You want to look out for them.
Yeah, and I know that I've said this before in other podcasts, but when Elise and I meet with our clients, we talk to them about lots of different areas: taxes, estate planning, insurance. We make sure to have a very holistic view of everything, because if one of these have a gap, then you're in trouble. And we try to make sure to send you to the right person, whether it's an insurance agent, an accountant, an attorney, whatever it is where we find the gap, to get these issues addressed.
Absolutely. Because basically, like when we hammer all of this out, we kind of get on in this moment of like we're on cruise control and you're just enjoying your life and you're setting money aside and life becomes a lot easier.
Absolutely.
Well, thanks for listening. If you guys have any questions or want to hear other topics, we have plenty of other career videos you should check out on our YouTube channel. And you can always subscribe and then also be added to our email list by shooting us an email where we get great monthly content out to you as well. Thanks.